Bradley Holly does not get going. Everybody has to try and take avoiding maneuvers, someone even taking to the grass. And the front row just had a horrible start as Raymond Day also gets swamped. Boucher is going to go from fourth to first by the first turn.
That is now Ozzie Milwain trying to take a little bit of a look. Oh, what a great move by Michael Broomhead. Caught Andrew Hardman napping, and now they're going to be side by side going into the Curva Grande. Is Fonseca and McKenzie still going at it down into Rent. Fonseca holding it out for now. A little bit of a better run, though, for McKenzie.
Oh, and a bump. He gets into the back of him. Fonseca spins off. And McKenzie, is he going to get third? Because here comes Tavitas, and Tavitas takes third away from both of them.
Indeed, and now Almanar looking for a little bit of a fight back. He's going to poke his nose to the inside. That's a very tricky area to try to get that move done. Move's going to favor back, but Almanar's going to hold it around the outside. He has got it done and dusted. A great move for Jonathan Almanar.
Allowing him to retain that sixth position for now, but once again, a better exit, and this time the over-under worked a treat for Corey Lotfula. He's going to get the inside, and this drag race up to 130R should go in his favor, depending on how brave Doug Bacchignone is. Let's see, and not brave enough is the answer.
You heard that exasperation out of me, Joe. A bad push there, catches it, taps from behind, completely sideways, massive opposite lock, and he keeps it pointed the right way. Great job, Byron McDonald.
This is it. Big draft. Almost middle of the road there for Topi Kortanimi. Up the inside goes Togo Hisada. He has to get on the brakes, though. They're side by side through 130R. This is the battle for the win on the final lap here. Kortanimi stays defensive, coming into the Casio triangle. Squeezing him.
Karthik Pai cannot do much here except break his late as he dares, which he tries and keeps an overlap into the left-hander, around the right-hander. He's got the outside. That tends to see better momentum, and it does this time. But now he's on the long way around from multiple corners and just gets fed out to the outside of the track. It is not there for Karthik Pai, and he finally gives up the ghost. Defensive move out of Mark Kalin denies him for now, but he goes a little wide at the apex.
Does indeed. There you see the move from Jacques Boucher. He's going to try to take it out into that little kink now, but he's going to have to go the long way around Cascades. It's not going to work out, but that's going to open up the door to Bradley Holly. There he goes on through up into the podium position.
With egos battered and bruised by the first 3 rounds, our drivers have been given no time to rest before being thrown right back into battle. And this time, it isn't just their fellow competitors they need to worry about in this war zone. It's the field of play itself that might just be the greatest danger. Let's see who can step up to this fearsome challenge as we get ready to watch round 4 of the iRacing Kamel GT series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Adam Lindgren. Behind the scenes is our director, Zach Johnson, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. It's hard to encapsulate the Nurburgring's immense size and difficulty, but we'll do our best. Let's head to our handy GSRC track guide. Welcome to the Nurburgring Nordschleife. Most modern high-end series might use the GP circuit nowadays, but it will certainly never hold the respect and awe that the Northern Loop commands. Though it can be and is usually used in conjunction with the Grand Prix circuit for competitions in real life, here on iRacing, drivers can harken back to a time gone by and just run the 13-mile behemoth this place is known for. Nicknamed the Green Hell by 3-time F1 World Champion Sir Jackie Stewart, it is often regarded as the greatest test of a driver anywhere on the planet. Just looking at the stats will tell you why. More than 150 turns and close to 1,000 feet in elevation will pass you by in a single lap. Simply memorizing the course is half the battle for most drivers, let alone being fast. it goes without saying that this place is dangerous. Many fast corners lack runoff, there's blind apexes everywhere, and in a couple cases, even modern cars will get airborne. The list of famous turns is pretty lengthy, but some of the more notorious are places such as fluke plots, miss hit miss, bravery corner, and of course, the ever iconic carousel. It's not just the places where you've got to move the wheel that get attention too. The Dodinger Hoa stretches for more than 1.5 miles in length. While you would think this circuit would mainly be limited to the track days most gearheads flock to for a chance to lap the ring, it still sees quite a bit of wheel-to-wheel combat. The 24 Hours of the Nurburgring, the VLN Series, and the World Touring Car Championship all still take the track to this day. Many race fans consider this the mecca of road racing, and any driver who is able to push the limits here often quickly garners their respect. There you see a little bit about the Nurburgring, but as we said, there is so much to go over. Adam, this might be the toughest race of the season.
Absolutely. The Nurburgring combined circuit is a 15.77 mile or 25.38 kilometer affair featuring 170 turns, just as Joe mentioned in the track description. And it's by far the most challenging and most technical circuit on iRacing today. The Audi GTO will feel the most at home here due to its rally heritage, with its four-wheel drive allowing the car to absorb the bumps and hug the apexes all across this beast of a circuit, while still fearing the dreaded Audi push through the medium to high-speed corners. The Nissan is a terrifying car to drive on the Nordschleife with its sensitive wing-like body and undertray and touchy turbo. The myriad of bumps that litter the circuit will keep the GTP drivers on their toes, and both classes will be seeking to avoid the perilously high curbs this track has in fear of bouncing them into the cars and into the grass and armco that are very near to the track. Multi-class here is all about cooperation and survival, and if it's the two classes even see each other at all today, Joe, make it to the end of this 8-lap race and you've probably got a top 10 no matter the field size. The best places to pass are on the GT circuit and the Dodinger Hoa, but considering that only accounts for 4 miles of this track, these drivers are going to have to be very careful around each other today.
Yeah, patience might be the key word for a lot of drivers, but we got to head over to our championship situation, starting with the prototypes. And Ardo Iamaki is actually currently holding that with 2 wins on the board. But Alex Gal, who we don't see on this list, won last round out. It's Antti Lepisto who is closely trailing Ardo, with Laust Olsen sitting in third, and then Martin Krejcik and Farron Grau rounding out your top 5. Not much in it here, but it's still early in the season. What about the GTOs?
Well, the good news is that second down to 6th position is very, very tight. The bad news is that right now Jukka Leskala holds a pretty significant lead over the field right now, showing only about 2 points, but I'm showing on their point standings about 22 points for that lead for Jukka Leskala, considering his consistency over the beginning of the season. Escaleta Niemi only 2 points back himself, and then we have Ian Haycox and Phil Lake as well down there, Mark Ole and Carlos Fonseca. So quite a few drivers right now just tucked into those point standings. Very, very tight up there for the GTOs.
Indeed, and this is going to be a slightly different race because it is the Nurburgring. It is a lap race instead of a timed race, 8 laps around here, which will be roughly an hour, so it's an endurance format, and we will see pit stops. It's an open setup series, and it's hard to really, I have to imagine, try and set up a car for the ring just because of the wide variety of corners, but they'll do their best. No spare car. And they also have a drive-through penalty at 17 incidents and disqualification at 25 still. We'll see if anybody actually manages to reach that and still has a car in working condition. Just about 30 seconds left. No qualifying to go over in this session, as they've already finished their qualifying. This is just a warm-up, and we'll see how they fare in a minute. About the one good thing they have going for them, Adam, is the temperatures look pretty decent.
Yeah, absolutely. Temperatures are pretty decent around this track right now. The Nordschleife known for having a decent amount of shade because of those trees. Right now, 78 degrees air temperature, 79 track temperature. That's 26 Celsius. Wind is out of the north at 2 miles an hour, so not really a factor for them. So as we wrap up this practice session, just a little bit of a warm-up for these drivers, we're going to head straight into the grid.
Absolutely, which is populated now. So our drivers start to line up, and it is Matthias Havdal who starts on the front row next to Antti Lepisto. It is Ardo Iamaki in P3 with Xavier Sanchez fourth. After that, Christian Veal will be P5. Isaac Snyder will start from 6, followed by Benjamin Kopke in 7th. You have Ove Trangrade P8, Fairground 9th, and Laust Olsen rounding out your top 10. On the next slide, it is Fabian Jungbluth on the top with Martin Krajcik starting 12th. You have Joseph Mudrak in 13th and Pablo Suarez 14th. Inside of the next row, Javier Mascara, Gianluca Gabbiani starts next to him, Heitor Sintes Galindo 17th, and John Keefe in 18th. Last two of the top 20 is Ben Laughter and Robert Plumley, and just a couple more, and the prototypes Frankie D in 21st and Antonio Baril starting 22nd.
Absolutely agree. GTP field and the GTO field is rounded up with Yuka Leskala currently on pole. Escaleta Niemi, a great qualifying for him, puts him in second place. Ian Haycock starting off in third on row 2 next to Franco Scurry. Marty Olay is going to start off in fifth with Marty Ollie starting off in fifth with Mark Olay in sixth. Then we got Tomas Bartfai going to start off in seventh with Jamie Hamill-Smith in eighth. Louis Hamilton is going to start off ninth with Mika Tupola in 10th. And we got the next slide starting off with row 6 is going to be Devin Donahue with Andre Schuster starting off in the 12th position. Marius Brewer is going to start off in 13th with Javier Del Olmo in 14th. And we got Cristobal Lopez Castro in 15th with Kai Stumpf in 16th position. Heiko Kruger is going to start off 17th with Carla Fonseca in 18th, Peter Newhook 19th, and Nicholas Rage rounding out your top 20. And there's going to be a couple more rounding out row 11. That's David Queen and Silver Pilmets.
Pretty full field, and it's actually top split today. The Nurburgring has brought people out of the woodwork for the Kamel Series. We've got one on board for today, I believe. Isaac Snyder joining us once again, giving us his perspective starting from the 6th position. We'll see how he fares out there today. Thankfully, both sides of the camera are working right now. We'll see if we get any more glitches. At least we're aware of that possibility this time. But Matthias Havdal has control of the field now as the Porsche pace car is getting ready to duck into the pit lane. There it goes. Let's see what Matthias can do. Green flag is out. We go racing for round 4 in the iRacing Kamel GT Series. Big jump for Havdal. Coming down into the first corner, he's going to be followed by a big pack hungry for second place, but it looks like Lepisto will hold off Iamaki. Some of them going 3 wide towards the back, but it's looking very patient from the drivers. Let's go to the GTOs.
Yuka Leskala got a big jump right underneath the bridge of the Dottinger Hoa. Now entering turn 1, he's got a nice lead over Escaleta Niemi, who's only about 6/10 back. Then it starts to pack up a little bit with Franco Scurry and Ian Haycock, Marty Ollie, and Mark Olay lining up as well. The GTO's pretty clean, though, through the first couple of corners, Joe.
Not seeing any issues so far amongst any of the drivers in either class, so that's a good sign. I'm thinking the survival instinct is definitely kicking in on a lot of them, but Havdal well up ahead of Lepisto currently, as we're almost out of the GP circuit already, coming down into Michelin Corner, and just a couple more to go before things really tighten up and get seriously scary.
Yeah, and it looks like Benjamin Kopke actually had an incident, unfortunately. He's fallen back to the back of the GTP field, but the rest of the GTP is doing pretty well right now. Still pretty tight for them right now. There's Kopke, major damage. He's going to have a long way to limp that thing back.
Oof, that is unfortunate to see at the very start of the race. So looks like our drivers now heading into the chicane and out of it onto the Nordschleife. Plunging down the hill they go. And up at the front, Havdal already pulling away by 2.3 seconds. He's getting that very necessary distance to those behind, because that slipstream can still bring your rivals in.
Absolutely, it definitely can, Joe. And the slipstream can bring your rivals on. Also, you want to be close enough so you can pounce on a mistake if somebody makes one. It's really hard to make a pass here on the Nordschleife. You're going to see that over the course of this entire race. These GTPs are definitely going to be looking for any opportunity to make a pass if somebody slips up or hits a curb the wrong way.
Now, as they come over fluke plots, you won't see the GTPs get air. You can see they're pretty stuck to the ground, even though they'll probably get at least a little bit light. It's the GTOs that you'll want to watch, being led by Leskala right now, and they're coming up towards that same section here soon. These things definitely get a little bit of a hop, and I can't imagine how scary it is.
It's quite scary, but at the same time, you got four-wheel drive to settle it out once you land. So here we come onto this long straightaway, and here comes the jump. We're going to see Yuko take it first. There he goes, 4 wheels off the ground. And then you can see the rest of the drivers taking the air as they go through. We got a nice battle for 10th position, though, with Andre Schuster, David Donahue, Javier Del Olmo, Cristobal Lopez Castro, and Mika Tupola as they all go over the jump.
Oof, thankfully, they get mostly sorted out single file. Del Olmo and Castro have been side by side, and they're going to go side by side once again. This is what I was talking about. There's just no space on the Nordschleife. Almost shoved off the course. Del Olmo keeps it from wrecking. They almost got bunched up behind Schuster as they finally hit the Swedish cross now and braking for Ehrenberg. Possibly a passing zone for some cars. Lopez Castro finally gets himself into 11th.
Fantastic driving there from that pack of Audis. Very tight, very clean, very fair from everybody. Great job to stay on track during that entire exchange. But looks like they're all getting held up a little bit behind David Donahue right now. That's Andre Schuster and Cristobal Lopez Castro, as well as Javier Del Olmo. They're all tucked in behind him. They need to get by, and they need to find a way by quick.
Yeah, Donahue plugging them up in about 9th place there in that black number 30 that you see. So coming down towards Metzgefeld. There's a great run for Schuster in the orange and blue. Wonder if he could maybe do something down into this portion of the circuit. You get a heavy braking zone here, but he's not close enough behind him. A little bit of a peak from Del Olmo, still trying to get the spot back from Lopez Castro. And boy, they are racing very hard, and we got a spin behind them. That is Brewer. Marius Brewer, thankfully nobody hitting him, and he's got a little bit of a gap to try and get going, but more cars coming in. Now he's able to cruise. Wow, great heads up by everybody. That could have been a serious blockage on this first lap.
And here's the pass that we just missed a little bit. It was Isaac Snyder and Javier Sanchez that just had a moment. That's Isaac Snyder who made the pass on Javier. This was coming up. Wow, this was through the left-hand kink on the back straightaway, Joe. This is one of the more challenging places to make a pass. I think Javier probably made a mistake there.
I would not bet against it, because that is, it's actually called Bravery Corner, so he needed to have some of that to make that one stick. And Sanchez now with Veal just behind him. You can see this battle staying close. This is for 5th position. Isaac Snyder in front of him and starting to stretch away.
Absolutely, they're definitely starting to stretch away, and they're getting into my favorite section of the Nordschleife. This back half of the Nordschleife is such a blast to race, especially in a high downforce machine like these GTPs. Taking a look at the leader, though, Matthias Hovdahl out to a 4-second lead over Antti Lepisto. Doing a great job, being very consistent right now, and all he has to do at this point is just keep that car on track, and he's got a really good opportunity for the win. Lepisto a little bit too far back to strike at this moment.
Yeah, that'll be handy once he does get up to the traffic of the GTOs, because he is going to have to wait oh so carefully for the right moments to go by. As we come back once again to Sanchez, still leading guys like Veal, Grau, Jungbluth as they come through the next portion of the track that leads up to the Beloff S's. Now you can see how much elevation changes are at points where the car is going to get extremely light up into Swallowtail, and now they're coming towards the other part of the banked portion of this track. Whoop, as we got a little bit of an off there, that was Grau.
Yeah, Grau just going off a little bit. They get up to 180 miles an hour going through Swallowtail, Joe. That's very, very fast for these drivers. That's as fast as NASCAR cars go on most circuits. So here we go on to the Dottinger Hohe for the first time of asking. Let's see which people have their cars trimmed out and which don't.
Yeah, so far I'm seeing Hovdahl at the front of the group at about 182. Lepisto behind him, a 179. So looks like Hovdahl maybe has trimmed his out as we get a little bit of a battle.
3 wide between Fabian Jungbluth, Ove Trangrade, and Farron Grau. It's very close there. Jungbluth starting to lose out, but they're still going to be 3 wide under the bridge here. That's Jungbluth who's going to back out of it. Grau's actually got the advantage. Trangrade's got the advantage right now, but Grau's trying to challenge him around the outside. He's going to have to fall in line.
So Trangrade gets that 7th spot. Grau at least stays in 8th, but Fabian Jungbluth, for a brief moment, thought he was going to get 2 spots, and it didn't quite pay off as they finally complete the first lap of the race. And a little bit of a look down into the Yokohama S, but the 25 of Snyder not able to quite get by Iamaki. Oh, and things swapping around once again between Grau, Trangrade, and Jungbluth. This time Grau gets it done. Jungbluth going to try and overtake Trangrade. They're coming down into Valvoline, and unfortunately he's not quite close enough. I think we should go to the GTOs, though. Now we got to see who is going to be getting the best draft amongst some of the least aerodynamic cars on the surface.
Absolutely. That's looking at Franco Scurry, who's a 2.5 ahead of Marty Olay, who's got Marty Ollie, who's got Ian Haycox and Mark Olay tucked in behind him. I don't think that Mark Olay is close enough, but Ian Haycox might have an opportunity at the back end of the Dottinger Hoa to try and make a lunge on Marty Ollie, but it's going to be a risky move if he decides to do so. Mark Olay benefiting from the double draft. I think he's just a little bit too far back. Here we go under the bridge, kind of the last opportunity to make a pass here. So here we go, tucking under the bridge. I think that Marty's just gonna, Ian Haycox is just gonna hang on to that position.
Yep, no change between them, but Lewis Emerton went by Tomas Bartfai, and that was for 7th position just behind them. So he used the slipstream to good effect himself. Hearing one car into pit lane, looks like Kopke eventually limped his way back around and is finally able to take repairs.
So after the first lap, Eucalipto's got a 6-second lead over Escoleta Niemi right now as we continue to watch this battle between Marty Ollie, Ian Haycox, and Mark Olay as they continue to battle through that quick switchback, and just such challenging stuff for these drivers to be able to tackle that, especially after having such cold brakes from the Dottinger Hoa.
Absolutely, and Mark Olay is getting ever closer to the back of Ian Haycox. Let's see if he tries anything here during the GP circuit, or is he going to sit behind, wait for a slipstream along with the long straights during the Nordschleife. And the other thing that I feel like is a big concern is these cars are notorious for having a finicky gearbox. Being so close behind somebody in the Nordschleife and somebody misses a gear, that could have bad news written all over it.
Got an awesome battle going on for P7 of the GTOs between Lewis Emerton and Tomas Bartfai. Bartfai, unfortunately, has a little bit of a misshift on the exit, but they were side by side all the way from the exit of the stadium all the way through that corner that we just saw. So very close battling between these two. I want to keep my eyes on them over the course of this race because I think they're pretty evenly matched.
They certainly seem to be, and Bartfai wants that position back.
Sorry, Joe. Isaac Snyder's putting a pressure on Ardo Iamaki. After making his pass on Xavier Sanchez earlier in the race, Isaac's really putting some pressure on trying to get into that podium position.
They come through Adenauer Forst and start to accelerate once again. Just a little bit of a shorter straight here before they get to Metzgefeld, and then they're not really going to have much in the way of long straights at all for quite some time. It's going to plunge downhill as we ride on board with Snyder. Look at how close he's getting to the back of Iamaki. And this is where you can see that elevation change as they plunge into the valley.
It's good to see that Isaac Snyder is at least presenting as human today as we ride on board with him. Wow, it's taking it so close to the apex. You can see just how much speed they're trying to carry through this sector. It's amazing to watch these GTPs race this course. This is not, I mean, this may be a little bit of endurance format for them considering it's 8 laps around the Nordschleife, but it's still a sprint, and you can see them absolutely pushing flat out watching on board with Isaac Snyder.
For those of you wondering what we're talking about with Isaac, he had a strange glitch last week that froze half of his camera that made it look almost perfectly like he was driving without his hands on the wheel. And we were very baffled for a moment. So that's what we keep referring to as they come now into the mine shaft and then uphill. This is one of those longer straights, but it looks like Snyder's a little too far back, so we look behind him to Christian Viel and Sanchez. He's close enough. I think he might have a slipstream on Sanchez.
He definitely does. He's within 4/10, so it's very easily a slipstream. So he's going to have an opportunity probably towards Bravery Corner as up ahead, Isaac Snyder still putting the pressure on Arda Iamaki as well. So very interesting. He had to back off there as Ardo actually was able to take Bravery Corner and take that apex away from him. So as we come up towards the second time through the carousel, just how close Christian Viel is right now to the back of Xavier Sanchez. Sanchez really struggling this race right now.
Down into the carousel. Oh, and yeah, they are taking it into their very hot. It's so bumpy. I have to worry if you're inside these Nissans, how do you keep faith that the ground effects are going to still work with the underside of the car getting so easily damaged here?
Practice. you just practice and make sure that it is easily damaged, but it's going to take quite a wallop to make that ground effect start to go away for you. So it's just dependent on how comfortable you are with the car and how many times you've driven it with damage. And if you've raced the Kamel GT series anytime in the last 2 seasons, you're going to have driven it with damage. So you're going to have an understanding of how this car works when it's a little bit banged up. But none of these guys are banged up at the moment. Still clean racing up here for 5th.
So far, it's been pretty single file, but it's a nerve-wracking single file for everybody in this group. We mentioned Sanchez, Veal, Grau is now caught up to them, Trangrade and Jungbluth making a 5-car train through Flansgarden, another spot where sometimes cars get air and almost look like from that shot for a brief moment. They did take a little bit of a hop off the ground.
But I could see Xavier Sanchez really starting to struggle with corner exit. So that's going to be an issue for him if he keeps struggling with that, because that's going to give Christian Veal a really good opportunity, especially as we come back onto the Dottinger Hoe, which we're approaching shortly. We're going to go through the short little carousel here. This is such a challenging corner for every type of vehicle. Christian Veal, not a great exit there, but Xavier Sanchez really struggling with rear end grip right now over the course of this race. I think if Christian could keep his foot planted here, he's going to have a really good opportunity as we go on the Dottinger Hoe. Farron Grau too far back. Farron's had a problem. Farron spun off going onto the Dottinger Hoe, and that's given an opportunity to Ove Trangrade and Jungbluth. Trangrade is going to make a pass on Jungbluth on the straight.
And he didn't hit anything from what I can tell. So thankfully, he's managed to, it was a close moment though for Jungbluth and Trangrade having to go around him. But man, it cost him speed at the worst moment. So as we see Trangrade and Jungbluth go side by side, Ove gets the spot ahead briefly, and then behind, or in front of them rather, Christian Veal trying to challenge Sanchez, but he runs out of speed down the Dottinger Hoe. They slow it up into Tiergarten. Oh, and very close to the Armco coming out of there. Sanchez nearly brushing the wall, but we come back to Trangrade. And now to more battles as the slipstream is looking extremely powerful today.
That's Gianluca Gabbiani who's leading this group ahead of Javier Mosquera, Pablo Suarez, and Ben Laughter as they all snake their way towards the stadium section once again. Ben Laughter trying to put pressure on Pablo Suarez behind as Pablo has a little bit of a slip-up coming into the stadium.
Oh, and somebody heading into pit lane. That was John Keefe.
Yeah.
Not sure what caused that. Hopefully he put his correct race fuel in as we get some side-by-side action down into the Yokohama S, and Ben Laughter will come out ahead on that one. Strange to see Laughter this far down, 16th for him. It is top split, but he's been at least a little quicker than that much of the race. And whoa, this battle just will not end between Trangrade and Jungbluth.
Trangrade and Jungbluth just having a great time right now. It's rare to find yourself battling side by side with another driver at the Nurburgring, so it's phenomenal to see them doing this, especially throughout the Nordschleife. It really gives you an opportunity. It feels so amazing to be tucked in behind a driver as you guys are snaking through these challenging sectors. Even on this GP course, this is the opportunity to breathe a little bit before you head back onto the very, very tough endurance track at the Nordschleife.
Now that this is spread apart, let's head back to third place in the GTOs. Franco Scurry is barely holding off Ollie and Haycox at the moment, and they're heading towards the Dottinger Hoe past Gallows Hill. So this is going to open up chances for drivers to swap positions around if they want it.
Yeah, Ollie's going to have a great opportunity here, a great run. He's going to make the pass, but is it a little bit too early? Because Franco could just tuck in behind him if he wants to. But Franco's actually not going to do that. He's going to stay to the inside and try and do a little bit of side drafting of Marty Ollie. Does work a little bit, but they're going to be side by side. Here comes, tucked in behind them, Ian Haycox, who's getting a double draft from these two guys. And right behind them is Marco Lay, who fall off the back of them by about half a second. He's now being able to gain. What's Ian Haycox going to do? Who's he going to choose?
Oof, this is a toss-up. Marty Ollie now getting back in behind Franco Scurry, and Ian Haycox doesn't go with either of them as they now have to get on the brakes and slow up once again. Somehow Scurry retains that third place. Can also report we have a meatball flag for Devin Donaghy. Forced repairs as it has too much damage according to the stewards. He hit the wall a little bit earlier.
I just want to report that Isaac Snyder made the pass on Ardo Iamaki. I believe this was on the first fast straightaway, so he really had an opportunity to get that pass done. Now up to third position for Isaac, and Antti Lepisto's only 2 seconds ahead.
Yeah, that was through Cottonborn up towards the Swedish Cross that Snyder finally got that one done. Okay, last lap through was a 7:13.2 for Snyder, 7:10.1 for Hovdal, just to give you an idea. And I don't think, was Snyder actually battling at all on that lap? Because he seems fast, but man, if it's a 3-second difference and he's flying compared to everybody else, Hovdal is looking alien status today.
Well, Snyder was tucked in behind. We've had a problem. I believe that Isaac Snyder just went around. Commentator's curse.
Oh no, and he's going to get passed by Veal, who's trying to find a way by. Even with the pace advantage, you can see just how tough it is trying to pass. Snyder looks like maybe he's got the car back under him and is starting to go, but it's checking up a whole bunch of friends. Trangrade, Jungbluth, all getting involved.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of front left damage for Snyder, but considering the fact that he went all the way around there, I'm surprised he doesn't have more. He's going to be a little down on straight line speed, and considering Döringerhoa is just over 2 miles, that's going to be quite a bit of a bad effect here for him. But he's got a big train behind him. As you said, this is 5th all the way down to 10th with Farron Grau.
Yeah, he had an amazing catch, honestly, a full 360 with just a little hit with the wall between the Spiegel curve and hit-miss hit, which is impressive because that is extremely narrow in that part, that he somehow kept it together, and it only fell to 5th place as we see the battle between Sanchez and Trangrade still going on, bumping a little bit of the grass coming up to Bravery Corner. Sanchez is fully committed today.
This battle is going to be ongoing unless they wreck it out, I think, for the whole entire day. As, oh my goodness, Isaac Snyder, he may be down on speed, but when he's tucked in behind somebody, he's putting some pressure on Christian Veal again. Ove Trangrade, having made that pass on Sanchez, is going to try and catch up to the back of Snyder and put some pressure as they go through the carousel.
All right. I don't think there's passes likely to happen here. Let's take a glance at the replay of Snyder's spin. See what it looked like from his perspective. This is going to be a wild ride. Oh yeah, maybe just a little curb on the first part.
Yeah, just a little bit of a hit, but man, you don't get away with stuff like that here. And in fact, he didn't, Joe. Isaac Snyder just had another problem while we were in replay.
Of course. Of course he did. So that one, this time, he did come up against the wall pretty hard, pancaked the left-hand side. So I think the damage on that car is enough that he is being told to come into the pits by the stewards. A black and orange flag, unfortunately, for the 25.
And he was on for a podium, just took it a little bit too aggressive. I think those rear tires were starting to talk back to him there as they go through the YouTube corner. Just very, very hard to control that car. He's got another quarter of the course to go to get that thing back to pit lane. Speaking
of YouTube, our other on board today, Laust Olsen, is in 10th place with him gaining that position. We just saw him go by, and he has given us a nice little view today as we hop on board with him, having started from 11th spot. That's the first position he's gained here today. Let's see what the eyes are doing around a track like this, just leaning and looking into the corners. Every time he comes up to one, down into the mini carousel, just pops out in time, and he'll finally get to relax for a moment as he's approaching Döringerhoa.
Absolutely. He's probably wishing that he was about another second up to Farron Grau so he could grab that draft off of him, but unfortunately just a little bit too far back. He's going to try and tuck into the wheel tracks of Farron and try and get that little bit of draft that he possibly can on the straight. But Farron's got better straight line speed because he's got Joseph Mudrack only about a second and a half ahead of him.
Our leader already completing lap 3 up ahead of it all, and this time the fastest lap of the race with a 7:09.3. For comparison, Antti Lepisto, his second lap was a 7:13. Let's see what this one's going to be for him. 7:12, and that's his personal best. It is a 12-second difference in 3 laps between first and second place.
And here comes Xavier Sanchez trying to make the pass back on Ove Tranger. He's going to try and go around the outside of this sharp hairpin. Fabian Jungbluth also going to try and go around the outside. Can't quite get the brakes done, but Xavier, fantastic move, late on the brakes, able to get it done. Can he get the power out, though? Ove Tranger trying to challenge back. It's going to be really close. Who's going to take the inside here? Looks like Tranger is actually going to back out of it.
Xavier is full of beans today. He is not taking no for an answer. And looks like as we come back to the battle for third place, Franco Scurry, who is just coming up to the end of Style Strecke and towards the carousel, is still dealing with the pressure from Marty Ollie, who has been hounding him all race long. And despite having the slipstream on these long straights, maybe he doesn't want to be ahead. Either way, he just hasn't been able to get ahead and stay ahead.
Well, if Franco can hold on to this podium, it's been a while since we talked to Franco Scurry in the broadcast booth, but I'm sure he'd be ecstatic with this result. But he's going to keep trying to fight here with Marty Ollie and Ian Haycox. Ian Haycox also struggling a little bit to get power down off the corners. It looks like he's a little bit tight through the center of the slow speed corners, which is making it really hard for him to get the good exits he would need to challenge the 2 ahead of him.
Franco is one of those drivers you hear about in racing when they talk about a popular man in the paddock.
Oh, yeah.
And it seems strange in such a highly competitive environment, but sometimes you just can't help but be endeared. Everybody who comes into a race here in a Kamel GT at some point gives the cry, "Ciao a tutti," which was coined by this man, Franco Scurry, the Italian, has garnered a lot of fans amongst his rivals.
It reminds me of a certain guy who was thanking everybody as he was making passes in the Daytona 24-hour that I raced last year. But Franco Scurry doing a great job holding off Marty Ollie right now. Ian Haycox looking on. Such a good battle between these GTOs. I think Marty's got some decent pace on Franco, but Franco doing everything he needs to do to hang on to that position. Oh man, his car looks very tight though.
Into the bell-off S's. Boy, you can see just how much the car crests and bobbles as it weaves back and forth through here. As we hop on board with Marty Ollie now, chasing him up to the mini carousel. Ooh, a little bit of a bobble off the corner there from Franco Scurry. Thankfully, didn't hurt him too badly. Used that 4-wheel drive to good effect.
Yeah, Franco's starting to blanch under the pressure a little bit, but it's not going to matter because here they go on to the Dottinger Hoa for one more time. And look at this, Marty Ollie is falling back a little bit. I think he's trying to get Ian Haycox involved in this too. Franco's going to go over to the right side this time. Let's see whether he drifts back over to the left as they go down the straightaway, because I think that he's going to want to be on the left. Yes, he is, when Marty Ollie tries to make this pass.
I wonder if he was backing himself up just a little bit to see if he can use the momentum better. And yeah, he gets a nice little run. He's not quite fully ahead. He can't chop across yet. It seems as soon as he gets out into that air and tries to push it, the car suddenly stalls out next to him. Franco Scurry trying to fight it, and finally he has to give up the ghost.
Absolutely, that was a great move there. Just a very decisive and commanding move from Marty Ollie to put that pass on Franco, but Franco can get a good exit here. He might try something late into turn 1 of the GP circuit. So here we go onto the straightaway. Look at this, that's a defensive move there from Marty Ollie. Franco's going to go on the outside. Is he going to be able to get it done?
He's looking for it as they break deep into the corner. Coming through the Yokohama S, he tries to cut back underneath them with the over-under. Marty Ollie manages to get back ahead, but the job is not done. Franco still vying hard for this podium, and in fact, he sends it in deep into Valvoline. Is it too deep as he goes way wide, but he somehow holds on to it. Now into Ford. The battle carries on, and accelerating off the corner, the wider line helps Ollie finally get into third.
What a battle that was between these two guys. Such good fighting there. Marty Ollie took one of the most aggressive over-unders I've seen, and Franco Scurry off the apex, giving an opportunity to Ian Haycox. He can't do anything with it, though. Oh, Xavier Sanchez and Fabian Jungbluth are side by side now as they go up the hill on the back long, fast section of the course. Here we go, approaching the carousel one more time.
Yeah, and this has been a change of positions that we missed because Ove Tranger had managed to get by Sanchez, and now Jungbluth has also overtaken him. Sanchez had a big clout over the curb and Oudenauer forced. Hopefully the underside of the car isn't too damaged from that. Credit to Joseph Mudrack, sitting there in 8th position, started from 13th, quietly yet surely. He's made himself a factor.
We've seen Mudrack have great pace in races past. It seems to be an off or on thing for him, and today seems to be one of those days where he's on. He has an opportunity to get a top 5 by passing all these cars ahead of him. So keep your eyes on Mudrack as he continues to try and fight his way up this field. Currently, he's up 5 positions from his starting position, so Nordschleife is definitely working out for him right now.
And some drivers are known for being specialists around this track. I wonder if this is one that Joseph favors as they head through Brunchen, colloquially known as YouTube corner, and then up to the ice curb. Not quite close enough to attack Sanchez yet, but Sanchez seems to be on the back foot, having lost 2 spots in this lap alone.
Yeah, Mudrack dealing with a little bit of push out through the tighter turns, but it seems like he's got it nice and loose through the faster stuff, so that's keeping him pointed in the right direction. Absolutely relying on that rear downforce.
Oh, we got to go to Ian Haycox. Ian Haycox has just binned it. He was in that close fight still with Marty Ollie, and he has suddenly hit the wall hard.
And it was over the jump, too. Yeah, the car just got upset over the jump, Joe.
Not too surprising. Without the wheels on the ground, sometimes it can be hard to find grip. And you can see he just clouded into that tire barrier with a huge amount of force. Mark Olay also going to be able to go by. Yeah, looks like maybe a bad landing. It was already squirreling around as soon as he hit the ground.
Yeah, just unfortunate for him, and so he's out, and he's going to add to a couple of drivers who are out. Carlos Fonseca, Frankie D, and Kai Stumpf are out of this race as well. Oh, look at this. Mudrack trying to make a move.
Well, he wants this spot, and he is through. That's another position gone away for Xavier Sanchez. I'm starting to wonder if he did lose a little bit of top-end speed coming over the curb. Oh, he's coming in. Does he have a meatball flag?
Or is this for fuel?
Oh, that is a good point.
It's an 8-lap race. This is a long race. It's possible that Xavier just is not enjoying the battling and wants to actually come in for a genuine pit stop. Laust Olsen's in behind him.
Okay, so yeah, that is a good point. This is halfway, so the drivers are certainly able to get to the end from here, but we see at least Olsen and Sanchez find their pit stalls, maybe get a little bit of repairs depending on what's been happening underneath that car. They'll get a chance to try and really look at what's been damaged, but that allows Ove Trangrade to hold on to 5th. Jungbluth, man, another one that's just kind of using everything to his advantage. 11th to 6th place by this point.
Absolutely. Him and Mudrack absolutely doing work today. Mudrack even up more positions than Jungbluth right now. And I think Mudrack is actually our hard charger in the GTPs right now. Be hard pressed to find one who's done more work. Ben Lafter also all up 6 positions. So even though he started down there further in the field, he's done a lot of work.
Well, the wreck for Haycox and those pit stops have taken away some of our closest battles. I think we've got an opportunity to chat with one of our premature DNFs with Isaac Snyder. So let's take a chat with him as he's been sitting in pit lane for about 8 minutes now. Isaac, sad to see you out already. What's it like down on the track at this incredibly challenging course?
Honestly, I was having a blast. It's really hard to see very well behind a GTP just because literally just a wall of sheet metal right in front of you, and if you're about 2/10 right behind somebody in a corner, you're not going to be able to see that exit. So it's very fun and challenging, and really nowhere to pass. So I just kind of had to bide my time. I'm running a bit lower of a downforce for a setup, and it's been helping, especially on the straights. If I'm back, about a second, I can make it up to about 2/10 at the end of it. It's just I gotta bide my time, and I still have 2 minutes optional repairs.
I was wondering about that because you were definitely one of the faster guys, it seemed, while you were out there. But the fastest right now is still Matthias Hovdal. He's running laps that nobody's even near touching it. Do you think it's a low downforce that's helping him find this pace?
And he's also not following anybody, and when you follow somebody, you're just burning up your front tires. So he's probably conserved it at the start there, and now feels pretty low at the moment. Yeah, so he's pretty much on a Q pace right now, I think.
That is just unbelievable. Well, again, commiserations that you had to leave us a little bit early. Is there anybody you want to give a shout to before we let you go?
I'll give a shout out to my parents. They've always been very supportive, and Vector and all the sponsors from RSR and Vector. So I'd like to thank you all for supporting everybody and the team and everything. And I'll be back out on track. I'll just be left down.
All right. Well, we look forward to seeing you again. That was Isaac Snyder having to take extensive repairs. Speaking of repairs, Sanchez, I don't know if it was damage to the car or he was unhappy with how it was handling or what, but he has stepped out of it and is done for the day. He's another one of our DNFs. Surprisingly few early in this race, but a good surprise as we now watch Ian Haycox try to chase Olay for 5th.
Yeah, Top Split's putting on a great show today here at the Nordschleife, and you can see Ian Haycox putting some pressure on Mark Olay. Just as we were coming off of that interview with Isaac Snyder, Mark Olay on the downhill jump on the back end of the course absolutely got that thing loose and squirreled it all the way into the YouTube corner. So Ian Haycox now putting some pressure on Mark. He's going to have an opportunity to pass him about halfway down the Dottinger Hoa. Actually, Mark Olay might have a little bit of a draft from Franco Scurry, so this might be... And Ian Haycox has that damage, so it's going to be a little bit tenuous to see whether or not Ian can get this done. It might be under the bridge.
He's got about 3 miles an hour more speed right now, 4 miles an hour more speed as they continue to pick up pace. But what about now that he is out of the slipstream? Damage on both of them. Well, oh my goodness, he just comes to a complete halt. He was gaining on him and then just stopped. So that is good news for Mark Olay, as he is going to at least retain that 5th position. But when will we see these guys into pit lane? So far, both going to stay out this time by.
It's possible that the Audis can make it on one tank. It's going to be sketched, but it's possible. Oh, we've had a wreck on the straightaway on the Dottinger Hoa. Cristobal Lopez Castro has gone around. I think this is underneath the bridge with contact with another car.
I think they tried to go 3 wide or something here.
Oh, yeah, this is definitely worth a replay.
It was 2 wide. It was with Kruger. And unfortunately, it looks like he got caught by the claws as Castro just tried to sneak in. And there's a car there. And both of them find themselves off course.
But Kruger manages to save it. That was really scary for him. He was trying to back off and make sure he didn't get into the side of Brewer.
Fabian Jungbluth is on his lid. Right now, the number 7 is upside down. He made a mistake, and Joseph Mudrack didn't have much space to avoid the wreck.
There it is. This is the replay.
This car acts like a scoop, and it just unfortunately sent Fabian Jungbluth up and over and forced him to take a tow. There's nothing you can do once you are on the tin top of these machines. Just too much curb.
Oh my goodness. And Mudrack nowhere to go, completely unsighted because of the Armco. And that's just rough for him. I can report that Ian Haycox just took a huge cut course through the GP circuit, and now entering the Nordschleife is going to have to give back probably about 3.5 to 4 seconds in order to Mark Olay. So unfortunately for him, he's going to have to back off. This is Benjamin Kopke who's making his way around. And Lars Olsen just wrecked.
Wow. Now they are really dropping. Olsen,
this is a continuation from something else that happened earlier on the lap.
He went wide, and actually I think it was in the same corner that Jungbluth had his incident. Just before Bruchen. Except in this case, Laust went wide, went into the wall, and, well, he's, at this point, you can see the damage that he's dealing with because of that, and there is the impact. Now, that is one that happened earlier, I believe. I don't think that was the one that I saw.
Yeah, so Laust actually had, so he hit the outside wall. This is the first incident that gave him the left side damage. And there's a second incident that he has right here. And they're about half a lap apart, Joe. But I can report that a lot of our leaders have come into the pits. Antti Lepisto, Arno Iamaki, Christian Viel, and Farron Grau, all into the pits for regular pit stops. I think everyone's coming in except for Ove Trangarade. Ove Trangarade is going to be the only one out there who has yet to pit so far.
Well, here's hoping he can make it through this lap and still get around for his stop. So yeah, this looks to be the fuel limit for most of the drivers is, yeah, they're all trickling in one by one. So will that be similar for the GTOs, and will we start to see a lot of pit stops for them? Where, though, is our lap traffic, I wonder? How close are they? Got to check my track map just to see.
About a quarter of a lap ahead is the first cars that Ove Tranger is going to deal with, and that's about a minute ahead of him. They can cover that probably in 3/4 of a lap.
Possibly, yeah. I think the last couple laps, they're just going to have to start going through some of the GTOs, which will certainly make the battle for the lead very interesting.
Ooh.
As we see this battle here on course. Coming out of the Yokohama S, is this Grau?
This is Gabbiani and Galindo who are battling with each other right now.
This is for 10th position. Right now, that's Gabbiani in the red, white, and black who just got ahead. Sintez Galindo going to try and fight back, coming down into the Dunlop hairpin, but nothing doing. Oh, and going a little bit too deep. Hands the position over. Gabbiani is going to have to try and rework that one all over again.
The trust on the rear tires from Sintez Galindo on the exit of that roundabout hairpin there. So amazing to see him just put the power down and trust that the car's going to pull out of there without spinning the rear tires. Great driving from Galindo to make sure to not wash out and make contact with Gabbiani.
Very good heads up indeed. So we're down to 3 laps to go, and we are waiting on, let's see, Trangarade, Mosquera did not pit, and Antonio Barreal, are all still needing to come in to take stops. Seem to be the drivers with the lightest right foot. This is Trangarade that you see on screen into Oudenauer Forest. And boy, this gives you an idea of the speeds that these things can take around here. And it might seem a bit absurd to us now, seeing prototypes of this nature racing at this track. But we have to remember that prototypes did run at the Nordschleife up into the 80s consistently.
I mean, so did Formula One, and those cars were arguably less safe.
That was into the 70s.
But still, I mean,
they quit then, at least.
But they were still going this fast. I mean,
yeah.
These machines, like we've had very fast machines racing around the Nordschleife, up until 40 years ago. So, very, very amazing to see these drivers tackle this, and it just gives us an image of what could be and what was back in the day, but also the reasons why we don't today.
The lap record for many, many years did belong to Stefan Belloff, who has those set of S's named after him, running in a Porsche before they came back for another try and a newer prototype with a non-competitive lap to try and smash that. But in the meantime, Ove Trangarade now back up through Kesselchen. He goes 13-second lead, but Hovdal's taken his stop and Ove has not.
Got that nice battle for 9th position shaping up in the GTOs. This is Marius Brewer, who had that scary moment that we saw earlier on, and Lewis Emerton, who's fighting with him just up ahead. These two guys, I think Marius is a little bit out of position right now, so Emerton holding him up a tiny bit, and he goes a little bit wide here. Is Brewer going to take this opportunity? He's going to give it a shot. He's going to try and go side by side, and Emerton's going to give it up.
Yeah, I think there reaches a certain point where you kind of have to show the white flag for that position and allow the driver through. Ooh, boy, they are pushing these things, coming up and over the crest out of Flansgarden and into the Belloff S's here. This is for the 9th position, and yet they're still almost a full minute behind our leader in that GT class, Yuko Leskala, who's already on his way up the Dottinger Hoa, which these guys have yet to hit the mini carousel.
And Ove Trankerade's hit the pit lane, so fortunately for him, He's in the pits getting his fuel and possibly tires. I think he did get tires, yes.
Wait,
So.
I'm seeing him scored as 18th though. Did he hit something? He
Yes,
did.
He did.
Oh no. Ove Trangrade with an accident coming into, I think, Outenauer Forest.
Let's take a look here. Oh my goodness, just took it way too hot and got stuck in the wall.
I think
The Armco ate him.
that might be up at Hedwig Heights, I think. Yeah, I think that's Hedwig Heights.
Yeah, way too quick into the corner. Ends up breaking the Armco and getting the vehicle stuck in there. You can see the wheel just snapping to the right on him. Probably has a direct drive. I hope he's okay.
Yeah, that is a genuine concern. I'm sure it sounds silly to...
Oh, GTO's in the pits.
Ah, okay, so pit stops starting to kick off for those drivers. But Leskala stays out. Franco Scurry is in. Marco Lay is also, and taking tires. So trying to get a little bit more grip out there for the end. And in most cases, tires for 3 laps of racing would seem silly, but for these guys, it is of the utmost importance.
Looks like tires is not going to cost Franco anything there. So that's a good lesson for everybody who's coming in right now. If they don't have tires checked, they should check them because it doesn't look like it costs them any time.
Indeed. And the point I was making before about those direct drive wheels is, we don't talk about injury on SimRacing because, well, it's a video game. And direct drive wheels, well, those can snap wrists. And we have seen it before that some drivers have gotten hurt because those wheels are so powerful. So you got to watch out. Make sure that you don't wind up having to sit with a cast for a couple weeks as we continue to watch one of the battles here in the mid-pack in the GTPs.
Yeah, this is Barley and Suarez. Antonio Barley has some major damage, and he's just trying to hang on towards the end of the race. He hasn't come in for his pit stop yet, so if he did, he could get some of that damage repaired, but at this point, it's just trying to get to the end for him.
I wonder if this came recently. Let me double check.
John Keefe is going backwards on the track.
What in the world?
And he's in a very dangerous position here. Fortunately, Lust Olsen's 40 seconds back, but...
Okay, he's getting it turned around. Yeah, this
is a pretty comedic incident, to be honest with you.
Just, not many places for him to get the car turned the right direction. He tried to whip turn it and just couldn't get the car to do it very quickly. Here we go. Let's see, this is through X Mule.
Oh,
it was a pretty big hit.
Unfortunately, yeah. And so then he tries to get it turned around, goes backwards, scares the living poo out of Fabian Jungbluth a little bit, and is able to get back going.
So, Jungbluth, who's unfortunately down in 14th. Remember, he had to take some big repairs too, and yet still on the lead lap. Mascara, looks like he's finally come in to pit lane. Baril should be in there pretty soon. And that'll be the last of our prototypes that need to take their stops.
Okay, Joe, you were asking about when the GTPs would hit GTO traffic. Well, it's starting to happen. This is the battle for second position between Antilla Pisto and Ardo Iamaki. They've just made their way past David Queen, and they're approaching Mika Tupola and Nicholas Rage just up ahead of them as they enter the Nordschleife. This is where things can get really spicy.
Oh, yeah. And they catch up to one immediately. Tupola, who is going to stay off the left-hand side, sees it coming. He knows the deal. That's an experienced driver right there, making sure to ease them through. So they get a little bit of a break. They'll have Nicholas Rage and Peter Newhook up next, but those two are battling for position, so that might be a different story.
Absolutely, and this is where that cooperation and survival comes in, Joe, that I talked about at the beginning of the race. You need to let these GTPs by, and the GTPs need to be patient with the Audis as best they can, because if you try and take an opportunity that's a little bit too risky, you're going to end up setting yourself and your competitor off into the wall. And it's going to be very dangerous. So let's see how they navigate this. Antilla Pisto trying to go around the outside, is able to hang on to that position. Ardo Iamaki with a good run on the outside as well. They're going to be able to get past both of them before the braking zone.
Wheels in the grass at nearly 160 miles an hour, and there's a car wrecking in front of them. That's Schuster, who thankfully does not bounce back onto the track. Lepisto still in second place, but Iamaki is making a race of things.
Ardo Iamaki definitely trying to make that position up. They've got 22 seconds up to Matthias Hovdahl. They lost about 4 seconds just in that exchange alone. But Ardo's not paying attention to that right now. He's just focused on Antti Lepisto, trying to get past him and get that second position. If Matthias Hovdahl falls ill of traffic, then he'll have a win. If not, he can still battle Antti Lepisto and get that second spot on the podium.
So put yourself in the shoes of the number 6, Adam. Do you try to force a pass this late in the race, or do you just sit and wait and try to pressure Lepisto into an error that gives it to you?
Oh, I try and pass, 100%. I'm out here to race, and I want to beat this guy. I want to get that second position, and I know I'm faster. If you're this close to a guy on track, especially a track this technical, you know in the back of your mind, or at least you think in the back of your mind, I'm faster. And so that's going to be the pressure for him to get past Antti Lepisto and start to pull away by those tenths per corner. It's a really good opportunity for Ardo Iamaki to get the second position on the podium, and that's exactly what I'm fighting for.
And again, this is only to settle the last 2 steps of the podium out. Matthias Hovdahl is a whopping 23 seconds ahead up the road right now. And that was all done pretty much without traffic for the most part. A good chunk of it was gained just by him being quick on his own compared to these two.
Oh, this is going to be interesting. They got GTO traffic as they're going to head up the quick section of the course on the back end.
Yeah, and this is a flat-out section, but it weaves back and forth so much. That's Kruger. Kruger going to stay off to the side. That'll allow both of them through. Do they have another? I think Luis Emerton coming up next. Will they catch him before they get to Stylestrecke?
Probably after this corner right here is where they're going to catch him. So it's going to be really interesting. A little bit of a break there for Antti Lepisto, and he's getting held up. This is going to be an opportunity for Iamaki, who keeps his foot down just a little bit there. It was scary. Emerton apologizing a little bit there for not being clear on where he was. This is given an opportunity for Ardo Iamaki, but still not a great place to pass on this particular section of the course. Let's see if anybody makes a mistake through the carousel.
It's always hard to resist that instinct to weave when you see someone coming up. You got to stay predictable, and it just caused that hesitation on both their parts. Thankfully, no wreck. Coming up to Hedwig Heights, this is where we lost at least one of our other prototypes. Ove Trangerade having an issue through there. Nothing doing for these two Finns. Lepisto now up to 1.3 seconds ahead of Iamaki. Looks like when he's in clear air, Antti does have pretty good pace over Ardo.
Absolutely, and so it's going to be interesting. It really comes down to the traffic, and this is Marius Brewer, who has been battling with Marc Ole over the course of this race, but he's going to be put on the outside of this corner. Ardo's going to have to wait for him, make sure that he doesn't go back to the apex. He doesn't, so now Ardo gets by. Now it's one-on-one once again between Ardo and Antti. They've got 8 seconds up the road to Marc Ole.
Whew. Well, there's the first set, a small breather, and then they started all over again. Getting towards the mid-pack where drivers are less inclined to try and give up too much time, not wanting to lose out to their rivals. Hovdahl, where is he right now? He's already heading on to the Dottie Nurho, so he's getting ready to take the white flag. And Leskala is in pit lane. Okay, Leskala is taking his pit stop. And it looks like this might be the last lap that most of the drivers are able to go. So it was very close to be able to go to the end for the GTOs.
Yeah, and I don't think Leskala's going to get passed by Hovdahl. So he's going to have to do the full 2 laps. So that'll be very interesting for him.
I don't know about that. Leskala is actually coming up to Tiergarten right now. Or Hovdahl is. Leskala is just coming through the Yokohama S. I think Hovdahl should be by him before this lap is over.
Oh, and Marc Ole and Ian Haycox just came into the pits as well, so all of our leaders in the GTOs now into the pits.
Battle for second up the Dottie Nurho, and Lepisto keeps himself at arm's length away from Iamaki. That will be critical, especially next lap. You have to think the number 1 going to be focusing on trying to come off of Gallows Hill as strong as he can. so that Yamaki cannot use the slipstream on him. Up in front of them, they'll catch up to Donaghy. And a car exiting pit lane as they have to split the middle. That's Del Olmo. And they're going to be able to make it through, but just in time. As they come out of the Yokohama S now. Next up on their overtaking list is going to be Ian Haycox, who is in a fight with Franco Scurry. And there's Franco being chased by Ian. Ian in the green and orange number 15. Down towards the Dunlop hairpin. And Antti Lepisto is going to be able to maybe break things up a little bit. Yes, he can. Ian Haycox has to chop down and take the apex. That holds up Arto Iamaki, managing to put some more distance between the two fins. Now as we come out of the Schumacher S, looks like things did not go well for Iamaki. Once again had to wait for Franco Scurry. In fact, that held up Franco, who could lose this fourth place to Ian Haycox now. And there you can see they're going to have to deal with Christian Veal coming by. At least he'll get a nice little break on the way up to the NDK chicane. Ooh, defensive move from the 13 of Scurry on Ian Haycox that time. Not wanting to give him any opportunity on the Grand Prix course, knowing that this could easily change fans there, and he could see it run off into the distance here on the Nordschleife, where it's so hard to pass. Let's see how far along the lap. Looks like almost halfway through the lap already for Matthias Hovdal, running 7:09, 7:10s for much of the race, but he has lost a little bit of pace. Last two laps, or two of the last three laps at 7:13. Some of that could have been traffic, of course, for Hovdal, which he's dealing with right now. And that is our two leaders. That is Leskala being lapped by Matthias Hovdal. So they will do one last lap, the entire field of GTOs compared to the GTPs. Behind them, being chased, Antti Lepisto has Arto Iamaki back to within 0.2 of a second. It was as high as 1.4 seconds coming off of the Grand Prix course, and it looks like Iamaki is not going to take this one laying down. Great job reeling that in. Sweet. Now fly up into Oudenauer Forst. Very hard getting the car woed up into this portion of the circuit. It just weaves back and forth, tightening as it goes. And finally, the driver is able to accelerate out towards Metzgefeld. And that one did not seem to help Iamaki. It grew from about 0.2 of a second back up to 0.6 of a second. Christian Veal, ooh, we're starting to see him pop into the shot here and there. He's got this down to 1.7 seconds behind them. He'll really want them to start fighting with one another. That will offer up a chance to maybe get onto the podium. Christian started from 5th, so he is up from 1 spot. More traffic in front of them. This time it's Esko Lettiemi, one of our winners this season. He pulls off to the side, let them through. He's still running a nice, well-earned 2nd place. All three of them now by. Antti Lepisto holding on to this one by his fingernails, not wanting to let go, knowing that this could be valuable points. And let's not forget, Lepisto chasing Iamaki 8 points behind coming into this race. It won't give him the points lead, as it's a 2-point swing between 2nd and 3rd place. But obviously, if he could chip away at that lead, that will wind up being valuable. And he's got a good slipstream here, Adam, coming up through Kesselchen and around Bravery Corner. But it looks like he runs out of stretch by the time they hit Steilstrecke.
Absolutely. He's got a couple more opportunities in this lap to try and get this done. That's going to be very tight for him to do so. Another close battles between Aitor Sintes Galindo and Martin Krajcik for the 6th position. But here we go through the carousel. Now on to the back part of the course. It's going to be a tough battle for Arto Iamaki to get past.
I got to think that he's going to try regardless if he gets a whiff of it. He's got to stick his nose in. I'm keeping half an eye on Hovdal. He's still got a number of corners to go. Nancy Lepisto is really where the first battles start here in the prototypes. In fact, I'm looking at the
yeah. This is going to be interesting, Joe, because Yuko's only 5 seconds ahead. Oh, look at this.
About a little bit of a look there, and Gabbiani and Mosquera, excuse me, no, Mosquera and Ben Laughter, rather, as they come up into Style Strecka, and Ben is using the extra downforce that he's got in the prototypes to good effect. Not good enough to try and get the position away, but the 10th place driver is up 9 spots from where he qualified. Let's not throw it away now.
Absolutely, and up there for the second position, Antilopisto got held up a little bit by Yuka Leskala, our leader in the GTOs, so this has given Ardo Yamaki the space he needs to try and bring that battle back in. It was out to about a second, and now tucked in once again underneath a quarter of a second.
And this is going to be the critical one out of Gallows Hill, which will be this right-hander, multi-apexer. And we'll have to cut away, unfortunately. We won't be able to see how they'll do on it because Matthias Hovdal is up into Tiergarten and Hohenren. He has just one more corner to go, and the number 4 is going to take a win here at the Nurburgring in the most dominant fashion we've seen in some time.
Fantastic race for Hovdal, very consistent over the course of the lap. But Ardo Yamaki does have the run. He's trying to make it on Antilopisto. He's going to have to send it for all it's worth, and it's going to be a very late braking maneuver. I don't think he's close enough, Joe.
It's not looking like it. Yeah, it's just too little, too late. I think Lepisto may be a bit more trimmed out on these straight lines, not allowing him to really get as close as he needs. And Ian Haycox is off for some reason.
This was contact with Martin Krejcik, who did not make a safe pass on him.
Oh, no. Well, our GTOs do have their leader coming to the line as well. Yuko Leskala with another victory, his 3rd of the season. The number 2 extends his points lead.
I can also report that Javier Mosquera had a little bit of a run-in with one of the GTOs as well. This was Mark Olay, unfortunately just pushing him a little bit wide. He did not finish the race. And Tomas Bartfy just had a problem. He's now crabbing on the track. He's giving up positions as well to Ian Haycox and Louis Emerton.
I was just about to say, 2 cars that are trying to limp it home. Ian Haycox with the busted engine and a busted wheel here for Bartfy, but you might as well try and get it to the line from this stage.
Oh, Mark Olay's about to lose the position to Marius Brummer for 6th position. This is on the Dardinger Hoa. They're about to go to the bridge side by side.
That's Mark Olay and the red and white, the black and red with Marius Brewer. Neither willing to give way. Who is the bravest on the brakes? Just a bit of a nose ahead for Mark, and he is in there first. The 36 manages to lock down 6th place as long as he's clean off of these set of S's, and he is good. So Mark Olay takes the win here at, or excuse me, finishes 6th here at the Nurburgring. Got ahead of myself. And poor Ian Haycox is just hitting the Dardinger Hoa and is unfortunately being breezed past by a whole bunch of cars, including, that's Bartfy, who we mentioned is dealing with a crabbing car. It's still faster than him.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see these 2 crabbers trying to come across the line. Bartfy can't get the car in gear. Is he going to lose his position to the stricken Ian Haycox? The answer is yes. Ian Haycox is going to come home in 11th.
I think he couldn't turn left. I think the car just unfortunately had that final left-hand turn and it just would not go. Oh boy, what a race. That is going to take us to a quick break. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in endorsed series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nurburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
Welcome back to the Nurburgring. After what is perhaps the greatest challenge in racing, Matthias Hovdal came away with a monstrous win at 33 seconds over Antti Lepisto, who took valuable points away from his rival in the championship, Arto Iamaki, by finishing second ahead of him. It was Christian Veal who was P4, just off the podium, with Ferran Grau a quiet fifth place today. Heitor Sintes Galindo from 17th to 6th. Pat on the back for that man. Gianluca Gabbiani was 7th, and Martin Kretrick in P8. Ben Laughter also climbing up 10 spots to 9th, as Pablo Suarez was 10th and Robert Plumley 11th. You've got Fabian Jungblut 12th, Antonio Baril 13th, Mosquera 14th, and Laust Olsen P15. John Keefe, the last of the drivers on the lead lap. Everybody from there on down was either a DNF or had to take big repairs.
We got Yuko Leskala, who finishes first in the race, having a commanding 25-second lead by the time he got done with the race. Escaleta-Niemi holding on to that second position, able to get that second place done over to Martiali today. Then we have Franco Scurry, who fell off the back of Martiali after having a fantastic battle through the GP section of the circuit. Javier Del Olmo is going to come home in that fifth position with Mark Olace in sixth. We got Marius Brewer 7th, Louis Emerton in 8th. We got Heiko Kruger in 9th, Jamie Hamill-Smith in 10th, and we got the stricken Ian Haycox and Tomas Bartfai in 11th and 12th, with Nicholas Rage in 13th. The rest of the GTOs struggled today. Peter Newhook, Mika Tupla, Silver Piermetz, and Andre Schuster. Then we have our DNFs, Devin Donahue, David Queen, Cristobal Lopez Castro, Carlos Fonseca, and Kai Stumpf.
And looks like we've got our winner in the prototypes ready to talk to us, Matthias Hovdal, giving us an impressive display out there today. So I have to ask Matthias, with the fastest lap, 3.5 seconds faster than anybody out there, where did you find the difference?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess my setup worked well, and this is a track I like. I have a lot of laps here, so I think everything just came together. I was actually expecting to have a little bit more competition based on the qualifying times. But yeah, I managed to pull a gap pretty much straight away and really never looked back. You know, I was able to push like 95% basically, and just drive, you know, reasonably within comfort without taking any huge risks. So yeah, I think my pace was just really good today.
It's your maiden win of the season here after you're back for your second race of the season to attend. It looks like you once again tend to fare well at these more difficult or draft-heavy tracks. How trimmed out did you have the car today, or did you still keep some wing in it for the twisty bits?
I tried to go as low as I could bear, basically, because the way the racing works there's very little opportunity to actually pass in the corners. It's all about the drafting on the straights. So I went down to 4. And yeah, I think I actually had better top speed than the guys behind me as well. So I wasn't just, well, yeah, just pace. You know, I really had the complete package today, I felt.
It certainly looked like you had the complete package. It was an admirable run. Will we see you come next week when we head off to Barcelona?
Yeah, I mean, that's a track I've done well at before. So, you know, if I can find the time, I'll definitely give it a go.
Oh, we'll look forward to seeing you. That was our winner, Matthias Hovdal, who is followed now by a man who is one of our hard chargers. And we've got Ben Laughter with Adam.
Yeah, absolutely, Ben. A very great race for you today. Not necessarily a stellar qualifying, but you definitely had a lot of fun out there on track passing people.
Oh, fellas, I'm a survivor. I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to stop. Oh, I'm going to work harder. That was tough.
Absolutely. It looked tough and hard today, Ben. How'd you do it?
Well, not with practice, I'll tell you that. I didn't do that until this morning, and found myself woefully underprepared. Forgot, of course, it's Nurburgring, you've got to qualify out of cycle, and so I didn't qualify until right before the race, putting me in 19th. And then I had better pace than some of the guys around me and got into a couple of really good scraps with Gianluca, Javier, early on Robert Plumley. I think he and I were side by side throughout most of the Strecca in the opening lap. It was a blast. I had a lot of fun today. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it seemed like the competition level in this top split was really good today, and seemed like there was a lot of clean driving out there. And did you end up running into any traffic, or did you not get an opportunity to pass any GTOs today?
No, the last lap, I think I passed 6 or 8, something like that. That's what really closed up the fight with me and Javier. And in fact, that's what brought the fight with me and Javier to an end. He went one way, I went another way. He ended up in the wall, and I got the spot. But yeah, the traffic was, you had to be extra patient because there's just, how the Nurburgring is. There's just no extra room on either side. You've got to pick a right spot.
So I guess the question that I ask all the GTP drivers around here, how hard were you pushing? Because I know some people push, 95, 98%. Other people are like, I only go 70% around the Nurburgring. What's your level of comfortability with this track?
So I've done several 24 of the Nurburgring and in my opinion, this is one of those tracks where at least I have to drive 100%. If I don't, I lose focus. There's something about this track that will lull you to sleep, and it's easy to get distracted. So I have to focus and really push hard. If I don't, I make stupid mistakes.
Well, Ben, great job today, and congrats on your finishing position. Is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, the guys that I was around, I'm going to forget some people here, but coming to my mind is Javier, Gianluca, Robert Plumley, Pablo Suarez. I was tight with those guys throughout much of this race, and it was just all really good, clean, aggressive, but clean racing, and I had a good time.
Well, congrats on 9th, Ben, and we look forward to seeing you at Barcelona Historic next week.
Yes, sir. See ya.
Now, is Ben Laughter coming home in 9th today in the GTPs. Back to you, Joe.
Looks like that is going to close out our interview. So we want to give a big thank you to the Kamel GT community for bringing us back for another season of coverage. We also want to thank the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. And additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Check out her Bandcamp for more great work. Thanks to the team today. With Zach, Adam, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media. Also, check out our merchandise store at gsrc.storenvy.com. We keep a link in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment, because as we said, next week, we're heading off to Barcelona Saturday, January 15th at noon Eastern. But we have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar, because the Majors Team Endurance Challenge is off to the Red Bull Ring. That'll be in just a few minutes' time at 2 p.m. Eastern. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.